Hey, it's afternoon. Um, I had a thought that after work that there's a ton of videos on this thing already. Maybe I should, every so often, maybe I should do little introductory videos um, to catch people up because even right now there's so many videos on this account that and I talk for 10 minutes at a time. And of course, I can't, nobody's going to want to go back and see all that. So maybe every few months I'll sort of recount the story again. So what happened to me was in July or August, I decided that it was time to grow up and see the doctor. I hadn't seen her since the pandemic started, and I had been having issues with what I thought was IBS. I'd lost a lot of weight. I started out at between 320 and 350 pounds, and I'm now at 147 and struggling to maintain that. Now I know 147 for someone who is 5'3" is still, it's not obese anymore, but it's still overweight. I get that. But even the doctors are like, you can't lose any more weight because it's not a good thing in this case. I didn't try, and I'm not trying. So I've maintained this weight for a few months now, so great. Okay, so you can't get appointments here sooner than a couple months out. So I made the decision. I made the appointment for late October, which, by the way, was around my birthday, my 46th birthday. Now, my PCP at the time only worked on Wednesdays. So, and I got my results on Wednesday afternoon. So when seeing that my bilirubin was at 9, my ALP was, or my ALT, whichever one is most important, I think it's ALP, was like 700 something. The other enzymes were really high, like scary high too. And I tried calling her back and she was already gone for the day. I tried writing her in my chart. She was not going to get back to anybody except on Wednesdays. And when she did finally talk to me the next week, after an entire week of freaking out at those results, because you got to remember, I've never had any medical issues. I've never been to the hospital. I do have asthma and I do have migraines, but I've never had any problems with them. I would ride my bike to the bus and go, and to work all the time, every day, and it was fine. My inhaler just took care of everything. So seeing those results freaked me out big time. I called my mom crying, like my liver, and she was like, no, it's okay, calm down. It's a regenerative organ. You're going to be fine. This is the first time you've ever seen this. Great. And that's what people told me that whole week. When she finally did write back to me through my chart, she's like, I don't know what I can do for you. I'm going to refer you to a gastroenterologist. And of course, she didn't actually do that. She just sent me some numbers to call. Or she had somebody else send me numbers to call. But luckily, there was a woman who grew up on the same street I did. And she happens to work at a gastroenterologist's office. So she got me an appointment pretty much immediately. Maybe even like within 2 or 3 days. Because somebody had canceled. So I was extremely lucky. Like right there, that's where the luck just starts. And I acknowledge that I've been very lucky throughout this whole thing. So I went to see the gastroenterologist, and that is the first time I heard the word cirrhosis. Now, when one has never had a medical issue and one hears something as serious as cirrhosis, they're going to be like, that's not possible. It's got to be something else. It's only one blood test. You can't determine cirrhosis based on one freaking blood test. So she gave me a NASH fibrosure blood test, which is not appropriate for what I have, which is primary biliary cholangitis and celiac disease, which are both autoimmune disorders. So it came back just like stage 4 for cirrhosis, stage 4 NASH. Your liver is basically dead, is what the test said. But it also said on the test, if it's anything but non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, you're going to get an inaccurate count of fibrosis in the liver. So I was like, no, she's pushing me too fast. But based on that blood test, because she also checked my mitochondrial AMA for PBC, and she also checked for celiac. both of them came up crazy positive. So she diagnosed me with PBC, and she still said end stage cirrhosis, end stage cirrhosis. That's all she ever kept saying to me, and she scared me, and I didn't want to go to her anymore. But I did what I was told because I was lucky to get in, and she wasn't cruel or mean. She was trying to help me, and I understood that, but I was scared, as anybody would be, so I didn't want to hear what she had to say. At the same time, whatever she told me to do, whatever she gave me, I did it. Just did it. Because she's a physician's assistant. She was taking care of it. She was helping me. And based on what she saw in the NASH, it's not the NASH fibrosure was one thing, but she also had, like I said, tested for a lot of other things. But based on all those tests, she got me into the UCLA transplant program. And they just called me out of the blue one day. My roommate and I were going to go out somewhere, I forget where. And it was the nurse coordinator saying, yeah, we've accepted you into the UCLA transplant program. Not even knowing that this was going to be something I was going to have to deal with. And I remember just sitting down at the kitchen table with my phone on speaker with both of us just listening to it. And I was like, oh my God, she thinks I need a transplant? What the heck? This is crazy. But, it still wasn't real. I had, So, I also had imaging. I had an ultrasound. I had a CT. The ultrasound didn't see anything. There wasn't really anything to worry about. The CT saw portal hypertension and varices. And then I had to get an endoscopy and a colonoscopy. And they did not physically see the varices, so they didn't band them, the esophageal varices. They didn't see them that the CT scan said I had. So I was like, oh, okay, so the machine had been broken the whole week before, and I went on the Monday to get it, so it was still not showing great results, and it was a day where, like, everybody and their mother was using the machine, catching up from the previous week, so I'm like, okay, the machine is faulty. There was no varices, so maybe there's no portal hypertension. Because you tell yourself these things, but that doesn't mean that I wasn't doing what I was told. I was still going to every appointment and doing whatever they told me, and when UCLA wanted things from me, I gave it to them. I talked to them. I answered the phone. My insurance nurse called me. I talked to her. I'm on the transplant program with my insurance. So I just kept one step after the other, even though, like, I still wasn't super convinced I had cirrhosis, but I did have something. Excuse me. There's going to have to be a part 2. I got a new PCP because someone who only was available to me on Wednesdays wasn't going to help me with this kind of issue. The last thing she did for me, though, is she got me in for my pap smear because I needed that one last test for UCLA. They needed me to have my pap, my colonoscopy, and my mammogram, the stuff that I needed anyway. And in the time between, I had been doing so many, the CT, the ultrasound, the mammogram, all those things, like, it just became like nothing. Like, all these things that had scared me before were just like routine at this point. Just like, yeah, I'm going to go get my mammogram, then I have to go to the other place, I have to go to the hospital and get my CT on the same day. It's just one of those things, and you sort of like just get caught up in doing the things and living your life and working. And I've been working the whole time. I'm still working every day. Trying to accrue that vacation time for when I need it. It took a long time for UCLA to work out my financials, so I had a few months of like nothing happening. Just, I had been diagnosed with PBC, I had been put on Ursidile. My numbers started going down immediately. My bilirubin went down from 9 to 6.8. It was looking really good when I had another blood test. And my new PCP, he saw them and he said, yeah, you're probably not going to need a transplant for a while. Probably not to your mid-50s. Okay, I'm gonna start on part 2 now. I'll be right back.